My name is Jennifer. I'm the editor of Farm Journal's Pork Magazine. And I am excited to be here with you guys today, along with my partner in crime, Angie Denton, with Kansas State University Department of Animal Sciences. We are here to help moderate and serve as support to you guys through LPC's Coffee and Collaboration, a 45-minute chat with two industry experts today. We have Lyle, Orwig, and Marcy Tessmann of Charleston, Orwig, here to chat about sustainability and to learn a little bit more about why the livestock industry needs to develop a sustainability platform to remain viable in today's world. And so I'm going to let Lyle and Marcy introduce themselves here in just a minute, but before they get started, I just want to remind you, in case this is your first time of joining us, there is a little chat bubble at the bottom of your screen when you log on. And if you want to click on that, it will open up a side panel that will allow you to ask questions. You can ask questions to everyone if you would like, and then Angie will share those questions at the end of our chat. I'll be operating the presentation itself, and so Angie will ask those questions at the end, but please feel free to ask questions or even to make comments or share additional thoughts or ideas there. We do want this to be an opportunity for people to have some back and forth, and so that's kind of our venue to be able to do that. This will be recorded and available. We have a page on our LPC website that lists past presentations, but we'll also push this one out on social when it's uploaded. With that, I want to thank Rock and K Productions for sponsoring our Coffee and Collaboration hours. We really appreciate their support and the opportunity to be able to have a continued conversation throughout the year among our members. So with that, Marcy and Lyle, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, and welcome everyone to Coffee and Collaboration. This is Marcy, and I just want to start off with a little background on Charleston Orwig. In case you're not familiar with us, we've been in the business for more than 26 years. We really connect with people in the food production cycle, from production agriculture all the way to putting that steak on the plate. We really help connect brands throughout that cycle, and we're really going to share with you some of the examples how we've done that with sustainability throughout our history. Last summer, we became 100% employee owned, and we're really excited about that. We are one of the few ESOPs in the communications industry, and it's really helping us to ensure that our staff is continually engaged in our business and helping us serve our clients. Next slide.
And this is Lyle Orwig, and I'm joining Marcy, and obviously you can see that I'm a East Central Illinois farm kid that went through FFA and became involved in the Ag Communications program at Illinois, and was honored a couple of weeks ago to learn via the internet that I will be a headliner recipient at the Ag Media Summit this summer.
And my background, just a little bit more about me. I came to Charleston, Orwig about 18 years ago, and I have really a livestock background. Grew up in a beef farm. I've been working in the livestock sectors of the industry throughout my entire career, and I am part of just really helping to further agriculture and the food system. I get involved in a lot of branding and strategic communications with clients. I'm also serving on the Board of Governors for TAN Worldwide. These are the brands that we really have worked with over the time on sustainability. And just want to share with you, you know, it's quite a wide range of brands. Some are very familiar retail brands. Some are really associations in our business. All of them we have worked on sustainability platforms with, and we are going to share some examples of the work that we've done. But if you do have questions about any of these, we'd be happy to answer.
So often the biggest question is, why should anyone really care about sustainability? And especially within the agriculture industry, where those of us who started on farms always believed and thought that we were sustainable from the very beginning. Because when you look at the definition of sustainability, it really is, how do you keep your operation going for the future? And so the idea of sustainability within agriculture and passing down the farm or passing down the business, the operation, has always been at the forefront. What's really turned around, at least in the 26 years that we've worked on it, is that it's gone from those of us who live that daily to people who are 3, 4, 5, 6 generations removed from agriculture. In the last few years, it's become especially important to consumers who, through the millennial generation, as well as any generation that is removed from the farm, started caring about where their food came from. So as they began to care about sustainability, then brands started to care about sustainability and responsibility. And then really back in the early 80s, the activist groups learned that when they discovered that brands were their gold, and they started attacking the brands like McDonald's or Smithfield or any of the top food companies, they learned that they could get their objectives and actions not only listened to, but often moved forward. So once the brands started caring about sustainability and what that meant, then they started pushing that down the value chain. And those in the beef, pork, poultry industries learned that as the branded food companies started asking, what are you doing in the areas of sustainability that we can share with our consumers? And so while we in agriculture may not be directly selling to consumers, although certainly many, the local movement is changing much of that, the value chain started to care. And of course, anyone at any company, the employees themselves, they care that their company that they work for is certainly a responsible company, and one that they want to be able to be proud of, and be able to go to the coffee shop or to the Starbucks and say that, yeah, I work for Charleston Orwig and they're a very sustainable company. So because of all of that changing over the years, it's important that we should care about sustainability and what it means within all of agriculture. As Marcy mentioned, we've been involved in sustainability really for all 26 years that we've been in business. But sustainability has really changed over those 26 years. When we first began at the agency, we had a marketing group and an issues management group, and we were working with companies that were dealing with all kinds of issues. Over time, no one wanted to admit that they were working on issues. They were working on their reputation, and issues became reputation management. And then after a while, reputation management was frowned upon, and the changing of the guard then moved into being a responsible company. And then maybe 10 or 12 years ago, sustainability became the key word that everybody moved on. So during that time, as sustainability has changed and grown over the years, most companies have built sustainability platforms that help them tell consumers as well as their employees and anyone interested in the company what their responsibility platforms were, and we'll show a couple examples of those. And as that has moved on then through corporate stewardship, as companies were being pressured by activist groups or even non-activist group shareholders about being good stewards of the products that they were building, it moved into everyone needs to create a brand promise that they are being a sustainable and responsible company. Clearly, there's a business case that says why companies and why industries should look at responsibility and sustainability as a core part of their business. And we've listed 5 here that are important, and we'll give an example of each of them that we've worked on. The first being that, as stated earlier, customers and consumers and even community level folks are certainly concerned about the area and interested in the area, and having a sustainability program creates a wonderful opportunity to engage with each of those audiences on the basis that they want to receive information. Additionally, for many companies, many brands, it mitigates risk. When you have the facts about all of the things that you are doing in the area of responsibility and sustainability within the your sustainability program, your risk is then diminished once you may be attacked or questioned by other companies.
Oh, amazing. I mean, he's almost worth a speaker himself.
Additionally, certainly it contributes to the bottom line, so that's important, and it will build employee loyalty. As I said earlier, when people want to talk with others at parties, etc., about where they work, they'll show their loyalty. And we found in many of the clients that we're working with, as they review the aspects of sustainability that they are measuring, it helps drive innovation and ultimately saving them dollars. So let's get into some of those examples.
Our first example is the work that we did with McDonald's. We helped them to build their first ever GRI-based sustainability report, and they unveiled this report at their global franchisee meeting. So it was really unveiled globally that year. And that sustainability report had a really significant aspect as part of the livestock industry. As part of their work in this report, they have been very involved in the beef industry and helped to establish the global roundtable for sustainable beef. And then they extended that through a series of meetings, I think highlighted at NCBA at Cattlemen's College that year. And then of course, backed that up with some videos. So they really inserted themselves into the beef industry to underscore their commitment and become very involved.
And that McDonald's was also really driven by their customers and the pressure that they were getting from the standpoint of the push on the brand and what they were doing. So it gave them an opportunity to wear a white hat and say that we want to be leaders in the industry. Next example is within Dairy Queen itself. Their brand is a little different than McDonald's in that their franchisees are much more independent than McDonald's. When you own a franchise for McDonald's, you sign up and they can dictate what your store will look like, and they can dictate where you'll be. And there's a lot more supervision over the McDonald's brand. Because Dairy Queen was started many, many years ago, and it's under a completely different franchisee system, they don't have the control over the brand on facilities and even on menus. Sometimes if you go into a Dairy Queen, you'll see that they provide a local menu with options that are not available at any other Dairy Queen. Because of that, they were even more susceptible to the risk of something happening because they didn't control the entire process, unlike McDonald's, who has leverage over the entire value chain, where the product is going, where it's processed, how it's processed, how they dictate that. They were much more open to potential risk within Dairy Queen. So creating their sustainability, their crisis communications plan and their sustainability program helped them mitigate the risk at the local level, not only at the brand level. So it's important as you look at it from the sustainability standpoint, for the sustainability of the Dairy Queen brand, that they are able to have some sustainability quotients that they can rely on should they get into trouble with the media or with any of their stockholders or with any of their customers. Next example comes from Smithfield, which we had the pleasure of working on for about 14 or 15 years. And it's a good story in the evolution of issues management to complete sustainability. When we first went to work with Smithfield, they were best known as the company that had the largest EPA fine for polluting a river in Virginia. Their CEO at the time said, that's not who we want to be. And so he went out and he hired the head of the DNR that had sued them and said, we want to be known as a good company. And so whatever we need to do, let's do that. So initially, the first few years we worked with them, our work was in managing all of the issues that they faced while they put together a sustainability program, while they started to look at every aspect of their operation, how they would help measure that, and then putting that into a report that they could share with their shareholders, showing that the progress that they were making. Additionally, they wanted to be known, as you see on their pillars here, for having responsible operations. They wanted to be known for having innovation, and they wanted to be known for transparencies. You can see their stated goal there, and the pillars on which they built their sustainability program included animal care, of course, care for employees, care for the environment, food and safety quality, and helping companies. What we learned through this process is that many companies are doing many good things along the way, but they don't want to tout them as it looks like it's it's bragging. And so one of the things that we helped them do was to brand those specific programs. So it begins with setting up the pillars that the company stands for, and often that is a result of a specific interest or passion that a CEO or a board of directors has. In Smithfield's instance, they were very, very interested, obviously, in being a transparent company, as well as changing their operations to be completely responsible. Texas Roadhouse has some tremendous employee loyalty. And as they were being pressured by some activist groups about what they were doing in the sustainability arena, they took a close look at their operations, and they were a very family-oriented business. And they had been in many communities recognized as an employer of choice, especially in working with students that were going to college and universities, because they had very flexible time schedules, and they only had, and they're only open for lunch and dinner, so it was easier to work into many student schedules. They also did a lot of giving back to each community and expect each franchise to be an active member in the community. And so they saw continuing to build those activities at every franchisee was important. And so for their long-term sustainability and continuing to be able to publicize the fact that they were employee focused, fresh food focused, and give back to the communities, they started building those sustainability platforms for themselves with the ultimate goal of maintaining employee loyalty within the Texas Roadhouse family.
This next one is a collaborative project with the International Vector Control Consortium, which is a number of crop chemical companies that have come together alongside of the Gates Foundation. You might recognize that the Gates Foundation has made a commitment to eradicate malaria and actually teamed up with IVCC to help solve this problem through science and innovation. So 0 by 40 is the initiative, 0 cases of malaria by 2040. It's a very aggressive initiative. You can see the partners that are pulling together on this. And our work is to really help to share the initiative by kind of telling the story of where we are today and how we're going to go about eradicating malaria. So this is a pretty significant part of the Gates goal to eradicate malaria, and it's really significant work. This is a global initiative, obviously, and these companies are really teaming up. Their scientific teams are collaborating on research that'll help to achieve the goal.
So the ability to create a sustainability program is not necessarily rocket science in our opinion. And these are the 5 rules of the road that we follow in order to create a program for any of our clients or any of the industries within which we work. The first thing you have to do is build that foundation. As we talked about with Smithfield, you have to find out where you're not achieving the objectives that you want, and make sure that that foundation is built. Then obviously connect and create, and we'll give examples of each of these. For most of our clients that we work with, we also develop some kind of signature CSR initiative that creates the opportunity for publicity as well as building employee loyalty, et cetera. It's also important to be participating in the industry, and then of course communicating consistently.
Okay, well, here's how we go about it. On the Connect and Create, it's really getting everything pulled together from a communication standpoint. So starting with engaging with the employees, they really become the best advocates of a platform. And you can learn a lot from peer groups and employees, and use that to help shape and develop the key messages. The next is engaging with key stakeholders. These are your friends in the industry, and they should really know. It's kind of a first to know cascade. They should know first what you are doing and why. Of course, leveraging customer interests and concerns, bring that to the forefront. We think it's really important to be very transparent and to share what you've learned from your own customers. Strategic partnerships, those are really up and down the chain. So not leaving any part of that chain to the side, but really involving all of them. That would be starting with farmers and ranchers. And you see today with sustainability platforms that are becoming commonplace in the industry, they are engaging farmers and ranchers in very big ways. And we think that's a really important and natural evolution of where we're at today. Of course, being part of and involved in the industries that you are working with, and like the McDonald's example, it's not okay to just build a platform and put it on the wall and share it. It's super important to be involved in the industry. Report your progress. Use PR to help share where you're at on your progress with your platform. It's not an overnight success. And be open and honest with people about where you're starting from and how long you think it's going to take to get there. And then, of course, learn as you go and continually improve. I think one of the things that, as we talk to our clients about building sustainability platforms, is the reality is that you're not going to be 100% successful on day one, but that's okay. If you set goals and you achieve those step by step, that's what the expectation is with the industry.
So one of the things we mentioned was developing a signature CSR program. And in many instances, the companies already have activities that they're doing. And in some instances, they don't, and they want to build them from scratch. As I mentioned with Smithfield earlier, they were donating a tremendous number pounds of beef to many of the local charities where they had plants, et cetera, but they weren't keeping track of the volume of that. So it's important, as you look at those programs, to not only do them, but then brand them. So in that instance, we branded that as Helping Hungry Homes. And so then when any individual processing operation would donate to a local food bank, it would go under the Helping Hungry Homes brand and banner, so that they could start to build some equity across the country rather than just in the local community. As I mentioned, their CEO was the first one that his family to go to college, so he had a very personal interest in education. And so we went into each plant city and developed a program specific to help those plants with their individual needs. And for the Iowa plant, we didn't create a new program, but we partnered with Iowa State and created a Learners to Leaders program that was already a program that Iowa State had developed at getting STEM kids to come to Iowa State. And we were able to do that in the plants within Iowa. And Marcy mentioned industry participation, and certainly within the livestock industry, sustainability programs are being handled by many of the associations, from NCBA to DMI to the Pork Board, etc. So there's plenty of opportunities to highlight what they are doing, but also develop and work with them and the individual companies, and then obviously you guys reporting on what everyone is doing in the area of sustainability. Then certainly as editors and folks within the broadcast and marketing industry, whenever we have a chance to attend, author, or speak, we should make sure that we're talking about what we're doing within the industry to help promote sustainability across the country.
One of the most important elements of the sustainability platforms and communicating our progress is to make sure that we're speaking to all the audiences and being accessible to them. Making sure engagement is offered with each of these audiences. And it starts with employees. Of course, going through the entire supply chain and customers. But we really feel like using every tool you can to do that is really helpful. Social media has become the primary tool for people to get their information from. So we like to help clients really take advantage of all of those tools to share their information and be accessible. And that's a 24/7 proposition. You need to be accessible to the audiences.
So I think certainly the 10 things that we've covered as we've gone through things are reminiscent about the important things that sustainability brings. And the top 10 things that I think they include, cost savings, which they're going to create from the sustainability programs themselves. It'll help create consumer demand. We talked about risk mitigation. Clients like Smithfield have used that to take over a leadership position with the industry and even drive some of the industry principles that are not always the most well received within the industry. Sustainability program will also help with employee retention, certainly with brand reputation and publicity. It'll also help with resource limitations. When you don't have all the money that you need, you can certainly point to the sustainability program as one good goal that you're doing. Sustainability program in this day and age is also going to help you keep up with the competition. We also found in working with some of the clients that it uncovers new revenue sources as they look at trying to save dollars or be more sustainable in an area, it also creates new revenue sources. And in some states, there's also even tax incentives. I wouldn't put that in my top 10, but it's certainly one of those things available. So those are all the things that we believe sustainability programs will help you with. And so with that, we'll stop talking and certainly open it up for questions.
Anyone have any questions this afternoon? Here we have one from Mike Opperman. What are one or two of the reasons why companies don't get involved in CSR or in sustainability programs?
Well, usually the biggest reason that companies don't want to get involved is they think it's extremely expensive, and that they're going to, they haven't often figured out that they're already doing a lot of sustainability things. They're just not categorizing it. For a time being, folks like McDonald's and others were creating an expensive 4-color 50-page report on what they were doing. And even the measuring of all of that can be very expensive. So the number one reason that many people don't look at it is expense. However, in this day and age, it's so much easier to simply put that kind of effort on a website rather than in a printed piece. So I think the number one thing would be expense. Number two is simply not knowing what to do.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to that. I think a third one is they haven't figured out really how to link it to their business. So how does it add value to your business and help move it forward? And that's one of the first things that we actually find ourselves talking about in conversations with new clients, is really, understanding your goals and establishing what those are before we even get started.
Here's another question from Mike. How do sustainability requirements imposed at retail translate to changes required at the farm level? And then a follow-up question, how can farmers adapt?
So I think as companies have begun to establish sustainability guidelines for their suppliers, it's really important at the farm level to help to translate that into how we raise our animals every day. And I think one of the things that is helpful is when farmers can actually document how they've already been sustainable over the generations of their family farms. There's really a lot to be said for the groundwork that has been laid over the course of time on farming and ranching. And so being able to share that and be transparent with it to further up the chain is just one of the areas that farmers have a leg up on other industry segments and other suppliers.
Any other questions this morning? If not, we really appreciate Mike, Lyle, you and Marcy for taking time to visit with us this morning on Coffee and Collaboration. And sharing your knowledge. And Lyle, we look forward to honoring you this summer at Ag Media Summit. Jennifer, do you have anything to add?
Sorry, I was just figuring out how to unmute myself here. No, I don't. I just want to add my thanks. We really appreciate it. This is a topic that I think we don't spend enough time thinking about from this back end, from our role as a communicator. We write about it, we deal with it, we think about it from maybe a farm side of things, but I think this was a really interesting perspective and will help me think about things a little differently as we go forward. And so I guess the only thing that I was maybe going to ask are, Lyle, you talked about making sure whenever we author or we speak or we attend activities to make sure we're sharing that sustainability story. Do you have any just tips or anything to help us get thinking about how we can work that into what we're sharing or what we're doing?
My first reaction would be to share what many of the companies that already have well-known sustainability programs share what they're doing. And so if you're speaking to a group of farmers, they need to understand, or ranchers, why it's important that that traceability down to the farm level is going to be crucial if they want to be able to supply that individual company.
Great points. Well, I don't see any more questions, and we've done a pretty good job of trying to end on time because of everybody's busy schedules. We want these to be kind of a quick, accessible chat during the month. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We look forward to sharing this on social media for those who were stuck in meetings or activities and couldn't attend. So with that, we'll sign off for now. And just a reminder to join us next month. We're going to be visiting with Leah Mindeman and Mike Opperman about kind of that fine line between sales and editorial and how we use that to both sides' advantage. They have a really great working relationship, and I think it'll be definitely entertaining and a fun opportunity for us to talk about a topic that we don't really chat about that much. So it will be on Wednesday, March 27th, again at 10 a.m. So please mark that on your calendars to join us, and we'll have more details coming out soon. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Angie.
Thank you.